Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. Arsenal player has agreed a new contract at the Emirates. Arsenal defender Takehiro Tomiyasu has agreed a new contract at the Emirates Stadium, according to a report. TEAMtalk made the claim on X, sharing a post claiming there had been a breakthrough involving the Gunners' fullback's contract. The outlet also claimed that Tomiyasu's contract details will be confirmed when he returns from the Asian Cup later in the month. Arsenal have done incredibly well on the player contract front in recent months, tying a number of their stars down to long-term deals. This used to be a weakness for the Gunners, who had a bad habit of allowing their top talents to enter the final year of their contracts some years ago. Now, the likes of William Saliba, Gabriel Martinelli, and Bukayo Saka have all penned new deals with the Gunners across the last 12 months. Based on TEAMtalk report, Tomiyasu should be next to commit his future to Arsenal in the coming weeks. The Japan international, who Ben White has described as world-class, is viewed as a key squad player by Mikel Arteta. Tomiyasu's current contract runs until 2025 with a year's option. He has made 73 appearances for the Gunners since joining 3 years ago, including 20 this term. There were links between Napoli and the 25-year-old during the January transfer window, and surprisingly, they came to nothing, as Arteta values Tomiyasu highly. Romano said a few weeks ago about this report, negotiations are advancing very well. There is still something to clarify in terms of the structure of the new deal, but Tomiyasu wants to stay. We heard rumors from Italy saying Napoli, Roma, and AC Milan are interested. It's true that many Italian clubs were considering a move on loan for Tomiyasu, but Arsenal were very clear in their message because they said there was no chance of Tomiyasu leaving. Gunners midfielder determined to succeed at N5. Arsenal midfielder Albert Sambi Lokonga has expressed his desire to succeed at the Emirates Stadium. The 24-year-old Arsenal loanee, speaking to Belgian outlet DH, insists he can have a future at N5. Lokonga also stressed that he will never regret joining Arsenal, despite enduring a difficult time at the club thus far. Lokonga went out on loan to Crystal Palace a year ago. For the rest of the campaign and the season, he has been plying his trade for Luton Town. DH asked Lokonga about whether he feels he still has a future at Arsenal. He replied, "I think it's too early to say. I haven't had any contact with Mikel Arteta yet. I am concentrating on Luton. We'll talk to Arsenal at the end of the season, but everything will happen gradually. I still consider myself an Arsenal player. I am appreciated there by the fans and the staff. I think I can have a future at Arsenal, but that will depend on my performances here. I have always said that as long as I have a contract with the Gunners, I'd like to make my mark there." DH then asked Lokonga whether he'd sign for Arsenal again or if he feels he should have joined a club like Luton straight away. He said, "I'd sign for Arsenal. I learned a lot there. Maybe I could have gone out on loan at the end of my first year because I wasn't playing much, but I will never regret my move to Arsenal. It's a club that's close to my heart. I hope Arsenal are champions this season for my friends and the staff." It's good to hear Lokonga speak highly of Arsenal and outline his intentions to succeed at the Emirates Stadium. He's been doing well for Luton, who have defied many preseason expectations to keep themselves out of the relegation zone. Let's see what happens in the summer. Hopefully, Lokonga can help Luton stay up, and then Mikel Arteta gives him a chance to prove himself in a preseason. Ian Wright says Arsenal have a player who can annoy people just by smiling. Arsenal legend Ian Wright has made a very interesting observation about Ben White. The Gunners are hard at work ahead of their big game against Liverpool tomorrow. They need the 3 points to have a realistic chance of winning the Premier League title. White is almost a guaranteed starter at right back. Arsenal signed Ben White from Brighton and Hove Albion back in the summer of 2021. There were a lot of doubters back then, with Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher famously having a real go at the Englishman right after his debut at Brentford. However, White has been a sensational signing for Arsenal. He is one of their most consistent performers and is an absolute fan favourite at the Emirates. Arsenal fans don't just love White for his ability on the pitch, but also because he can get under the opponent's skin with some of his actions. Ian Wright and his podcast pals, Ryan Hunn and Flo Lloyd Hughes, were plotting together players you only love if they are on your team 11 on Wright's house yesterday. White's name came up at right back, and Wright jokingly said, "The Arsenal defender has a smile that can annoy people." He said, "Ben White has got that vibe as well. Ben White can annoy people just by smiling. That's a gift." Ben White's performances often go under the radar, but Arsenal fans absolutely love him. The 25-year-old is one of the most consistent performers in the country. He puts in a shift every week, is solid at both ends of the pitch, and is extremely reliable. To add to that, his personality is something Arsenal fans really adore, even though it may annoy a few rival players and supporters. Arsenal take on Liverpool tomorrow, and White will need to have a good game against their attackers. If he is at his best, the Gunners' chances of victory will increase significantly. Mikel Arteta says Arsenal have a big concern ahead of Liverpool clash. Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta has admitted that Thomas Partey's injury issues are a big concern ahead of Sunday's Premier League meeting with Liverpool. On Friday, the Gunners boss revealed that the midfielder had a little setback a few days ago in training and will be unavailable for the fixture against Jurgen Klopp's Reds. Partey has not played for Arsenal for almost 4 months now due to a serious thigh problem which forced him to undergo surgery. The 30-year-old had been looking to make his return to action, but he has suffered an issue in a very similar area and hasn't been able to train for a few days. Partey is now set to miss the Liverpool match, though it remains to be seen how long he will be on the sidelines in wake of this latest setback. Arteta, speaking to the Arsenal media team on Friday, admitted that it's becoming a big worry for the player and the club. He said, "It's a big concern because he is such an important player for us and he was getting some momentum at the start of the season and then we lost him for a while. Now it's been a long time without him and he gives us something very different that no other player can give us in the squad. He's been a real mess." Partey has not played for Arsenal since 8 October. Meanwhile, his last outing for Ghana was on 18 October. He has made just 5 appearances for Arteta's side this season. Partey has missed 51 Premier League games out of 136 during his time at Arsenal. This is a worryingly significant amount, particularly for a club fighting for the title. Sadly, he is really struggling to stay fit, and at this point, you wonder how many more games he is going to play this season. Partey certainly makes Arsenal stronger, but unless he can prove his fitness going forward, it remains to be seen what future he has at the Emirates Stadium past this season. Fabrizio Romano says Arsenal have identified a 17-year-old they think will be brilliant. Say what you want about some of Arsenal's business in recent years, they have an eye for young talent. The likes of William Saliba and Gabriel Martinelli have blossomed into superstars since arriving at the Emirates, and now Arsenal have their eyes on another teenage talent. Speaking on the Here We Go podcast, Fabrizio Romano has been discussing Arsenal and their interest in Jorel Hato from Ajax, and according to the journalist, the Gunners genuinely believe this young man could be a star in the future. Romano shared Arsenal's view of Hato. He said, "Yes, it was impossible to sign him in January because of the rules. Jorel Hato from Ajax. Ajax want to extend his contract as soon as possible, and Arsenal tried to understand the situation around Hato. It was impossible to get the deal done in January, but Arsenal are following this boy closely. They believe he is a special talent. Arsenal have signed players in recent years from Ajax. They wanted Lisandro Martinez, They signed Jurriën Timber, they have a good connection, and they believe Hato could be a player of interest in the future. Arsenal couldn't do this deal in the January transfer window, but don't be shocked if they go back for Hato this summer. The Gunners are the type of team who do plan for the long term, and if they believe that Hato is a special player, rest assured they won't just let this opportunity pass them by. Of course, Ajax are rarely in the business of selling their young stars before they have at least had a few years in the first team, so it's going to be tough to get this deal done. This is certainly a situation to keep an eye on heading into the summer. Arsenal would have signed £60 million player in January in any other year. Arsenal didn't do anything during the January window, despite the fact they clearly needed a new striker. And according to Luke Edwards, speaking on the BBC Transfer Gossip Daily podcast, in any other year, Arsenal would have pulled the trigger on a deal to sign Ivan Toney. Edwards shared his verdict on the £60 million man. He said, "If Arsenal could have signed Toney this month, they 100% would have been in a much better position, and he would want to go. And in a previous January transfer window, it would have been happened, but they haven't been able to do that." Unfortunately, the reality is that the game has changed in the Premier League. Free spending is no longer the order of the day. Financial rules now have actual teeth, and if you step over the line, there are consequences. Arsenal didn't want to break the rules, so they didn't sign Toney. But in the past, this would have been the type of deal that Arsenal would be all over, especially with a Premier League title on the line. The Gunners could fall short in the title race this season, and their lack of a clinical striker in the form of Toney may well be the reason they don't go on to win the league this season. Carragher makes intriguing Arsenal claim in relation to Klopp's successor. The countdown has already begun for Jurgen Klopp, with the Liverpool manager only in charge of the club for another 16 Premier League matches, including at Arsenal on Sunday. It really will be the end of an era for the German, and his final game will mark a before and after for the club. Another Liverpool legend, Jamie Carragher, now a successful pundit, has made an intriguing claim regarding Klopp's successor and believes that the owners should be casting their eyes towards the Emirates Stadium when doing their due diligence. He said, "Arsenal have been trying to follow a similar path to Klopp's Liverpool for the last few seasons. There is some irony that as the teams prepare to meet on Sunday, we may soon be in a world in which Liverpool are closely scrutinizing what Arsenal did as they consider the credentials of Klopp's successor. Arteta's work in his first managerial post will be informative for Fenway Sports Group as they hear the arguments for and against front-runner Xabi Alonso. Arteta was a gamble when he stepped up in 2019 and embarked on a challenging rebuilding job. Arsenal had done enough due diligence to realize Arteta was a top manager in the making. Whether they win the title under him or not, no one will doubt he has been a great appointment. It's worth recalling too how vocal the Gunners faithful were about having Arteta removed from his post when the team were bottom of the Premier League and North London rivals Tottenham were at the summit. Fortunes soon changed, of course, and it would be difficult to find any Arsenal fan now arguing that they don't have exactly the right manager in place. The immediacy that football supporters demand these days when it comes to winning silverware is the only thorny issue, because Arsenal are a better football team than they were before Arteta's appointment. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.